Today, more than half of the world's population lives in urban areas, and projections are that the number of people living in cities and towns will grow by 67 million per year. I came back last night from Mexico City, a city of 22 million people, and the thought of triple that number being added to our urban population every year is a bit daunting. As more people move into cities, they increasingly occupy marginal land, land susceptible to flooding, landslides, earthquakes, and other disasters. UN Habitat reports that 43% of urban residents in developing countries and 78% of those living in the least developed countries live in slums with lodgings of tenuous materials, a factor which increases their vulnerability to disasters of all types. And yet we've certainly seen this year that disasters are not the exclusive province of poor countries. This year in January, we saw terrible floods in Australia. In February, a devastating earthquake in Christchurch. In March, the earthquake, tsunami, nuclear accident in Japan. And later in the spring, tornadoes, storms, and flooding in the U.S. The cost of reconstruction in urban areas in developed countries is very high. I read a report last week issued by the Red Cross that in the past decade, the total amount of economic losses by natural disasters, understanding that natural disasters are almost always exacerbated by human action, but the total economic cost was equal to some 16% of global GDP over the last decade. The challenges of responding then to disasters in urban areas and developed and developing countries is a serious one that the humanitarian community, at least, is beginning to address.